allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Is there any public comment on the agenda items? Anybody? Nobody? I have the minutes of November the 22nd. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Communications. This letter I have here, we can probably put it on the Comedy Hour on TV. However, I'll read it to you. The New York State Department of Transportation continues to do everything in its power to expedite repairs to State Route 9W Bridge over the Popolopan Creek in the town of Highland Falls, Orange County. Unfortunately, the fabrication and delivery of materials needed for the repairs have been continually delayed, and now they are expected to arrive on the job site sometime this winter. Construction on the project is expected to resume in the spring. It doesn't have a spring of 22, so I guess we could guess whatever year they're talking about. In the meantime, the bridge will remain open with one southbound lane closed to traffic. We appreciate the public's patience as we continue this important project, and we will continue to keep the community updated on its progress. Signed, Dmitry Grinberg, engineer in charge. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I hope they have fun plowing it this winter. I don't know how exactly they're going to do that. I have a letter from our recreation director. I'd like to follow up on our conversation from last year regarding the checking of ice at the Row and Garrison Lakes. While my department is absolutely capable of running winter and ice activities, we aren't trained to check the safety of the ice and make judgments on what it can actually hold. Any information regarding ice safety, I Googled myself and printed off the internet. I am alone while drilling and measuring, and if the ice isn't safe and I fall through, I'm dead. We've been lucky in the past, but I don't like to run off luck. I'm asking that the determination of ice safety be moved to the local fire departments where they have the knowledge of ice safety and rescue, the needed tools to check the safety and the safety equipment in case of an accident. So we'll move on this and send a letter to each of the fire departments, see if they're interested. By word of mouth, I've heard that they're not, but we'll make it official and send it to them.
Out of curiosity, Mr. Supervisor, has it been done differently before in the past?
It's always been the recreation director goes out and drills a hole in the ice and measures it. I think the Palisades Park standards are 6 inches, if I remember right. But
If you have time, I'll tell you another old man story. It wasn't always that way. Before the town on the lake, it was Bob Bailey, and before that is whoever went out there and didn't fall through, the ice was safe.
so we got to do something about it, but I'm not sure exactly what. This is as good a time as any for me to bring something up. I don't understand why this was brought up at a village meeting And I don't understand why the mayor can say in one hand he wants to cooperate with the town, and on the other hand, he throws digs at the town, we'll call it. He held up a water bill at the last village meeting and said how the person that, the resident of Fort Montgomery brought this bill to him, and it was $800 and some for 6 months of water. Okay, then he compared it to a village bill, which if you use less than 5,000 gallons, it's $80.80. Am I correct? Somewhere around there? $88. So, what the mayor failed to look at is, first of all, the water billing in the town and the water billing in the village are two different things, two completely different things. The village's water system is 100 years old, so they keep saying, and it's paid for. They don't have anything extra in the bill other than what may be in the rate for maintenance, but the water system is paid for. Our water system in Fort Montgomery is fairly new. It's 10 years or so old, and it's being paid for. It isn't paid for. When you get a bill, you have your consumption, and your consumption is charged by 5,000 gallons at a standard rate, which is 50% higher than the village standard rate. And then beyond that, per gallon rate is 50% higher than the village residents would pay. So there's a good difference there. And that was all worked out in a contract between the present mayor and Tommy Murphy, who was supervisor at the time. So that's where this 150% came from. It was through a contract, and it's still in force. You also have administration. Administration is paid by how many points the resident or the business has. And what he failed to mention, that this resident is a business. They have a deli in Fort Montgomery, which is charged 30 points. The 30 points are charged to a flat rate. And in administration, you have personal services, equipment, utilities, miscellaneous meters and chemicals, employee benefits, and money that goes into a reserve fund in case we have a need for repairing pipes and such as that. Back in, what did I say was, Kelly, 2011? Yeah, 2011. There was a mistake discovered that the water district cost funds were being charged to the A fund, meaning everybody in town paid for it. Well, that's wrong. Only the district is supposed to pay for it. So the town assumed a debt, which they're paying off. It's a 20-year debt. We've paid it for 10 years now, which we collected in the water district and give it to the A fund, give it back to the A fund. Then when we expanded the water district, we bought a piece of property and a water tank from Corbin Hill. I think that was $150,000. Justin, if you remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was $150,000.
Don't recall the precise.
And again, I'm not sure of the years on that debt, but we may probably have 20 years to pay that also. So these are the things that are put into a Fort Montgomery Town of Highlands bill that are not in the village bill. So why bring this up when you don't have all the information? And obviously, he did not have the information. It kind of bothered me when I watched that meeting. All right.
Bob, did you say $800 for 6 months?
Yes.
Okay.
It was 800 and change.
Just letting people know I have a single-family residence with 3 people in it. Every 6 months, I pay about $406. So, not that I'm happy with that bill, I'm just giving a comparative notice.
Yeah, this was $808. Oh, and to take it one step further, since you brought it up, the businesses on Main Street are paying approximately, on the average, about $700 for a 6-month period. So you can't take a business on Main Street and compare it to a residential house. So his facts and figures were just totally off base. All right, financial reports, since we're talking finance here. Oh, and by the way, communications, I received the confidential audit results from the New York State Controller's Office. It's confidential to the point when they come in, they're going to set up an appointment to come and talk to the town board. We haven't been notified yet, right, Kelly? Okay. And I also, the EFC finance paperwork or closing, there was a closing held on the sewer, the Fort Montgomery sewer area for the almost $3 million worth of work that we're doing down there. The closing was held, and that's all squared away. Now we just have to get squared away with TAM and a bonding, and we'll be all set. Have anything to add to that, Justin?
No, it's a good day after all these years to convert from your short-term financing to your long-term financing, and Kelly in the controller's office will write checks twice a year.
Yeah, $700,000 was an out-and-out grant.
Correct?
Most of it is interest-free loan.
Yeah, about 2/3 of the balance is interest-free, and about 1/3 is at EFC market rates,
Which
are
would be
very
anywhere around
favorable.
2 or 3%.
Correct.
Okay. We transferred into the paying account $28,951 to cover the check run dated December the 2nd. Big items are Orange and Rockland Utilities, $2,640 for streetlights. Rockland County Solid Waste, $12,285 for sanitation. While I'm talking about that, Kelly got some very bad news today. Our very capable and very good and very well-respected accounting clerk has resigned. She is going to accept a job near her home, which she had, about an hour drive each day?
About an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten her letter of resignation yet, but we were notified. And so Kelly is already requesting from the county the list so that we can find someone to take the job. It is a civil service job, so so anyway, that's too bad, really. And I feel bad for Kelly because, among other things, now she's got to train this new person.
Yeah. It's a big loss to the town.
Liaison reports, we'll start out with the shortest one.
Okay.
Richie Sullivan.
Good evening, everybody. So the Zoning Board of Appeals usually meets on the third Wednesday of the month. They meet remotely and have since COVID started. They will not be meeting this month. I just want to take a moment. When I started on this journey, Richie Parry was on the board along with Gary Lent that appointed me to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which Ray Dever was on that board at that time. He's been on board steady, and so I think his term is expiring, and he'll be getting it filled by Jimmy Ramus. I just want to take a moment to thank Ray for all his years of service. That board is sort of like a part of the judicial branch of government, quasi-judicial, as opposed to legislative. The matter is very serious, and Ray did a great job over all those years. I want to thank him for that. That's about all I have for the ZBA. With the planning board, I reported on their meeting at our last meeting. They meet on the third Thursday of the month, which is this Thursday, the 16th. I'm not sure what's on their agenda, but will they be meeting here, Justin, or remotely?
They'll be meeting in person.
Okay. As this whole COVID thing moves forward, I'll let people know. And any data to do with that meeting is always on our website, online meeting data. Anything you need to see is on there. And it won't be held remotely, but the data is on there. So in regard to, we're gonna talk a bit more about the ice, I guess. And the fire commissioners is, the chairman is Mickey Cahill. I did have a little discussion with him about that. What I wanted to let people know is in the state of New York, on the second Tuesday in December, fire districts hold their votes from the hours of 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. And that'll be happening, I'm sure, at Vales Gate tomorrow night, and it'll be happening in Fort Montgomery tomorrow night. They have a vacancy. There's already people, there's a legal notice in November for filling the position. Just wanted to mention, they have a guy who's the assistant chief, Richie Salva, was a commissioner. Once he became assistant chief, it was a conflict. They're a great organization. I just wanted to thank Richie Salva for his service and wish them well in their election tomorrow night. Water. So I was up at the water building today with Pat in Corbin Hill, and I sent pictures of the water leak to everybody if they got them. I just sent them about an hour ago that we'll probably talk about. And I want to just say, this whole village town thing, like, I just hope it stops because it's detrimental. There's no need for people to pick and choose these silly little facts trying to make each other look bad. I try not to do that. And I just want to say that at the village meeting, they reported on trihalomethanes and carbons, and Jack Sibley and I, the plant operator, got our water license together back in 2004. Went to school together out in BOCES. We learned about chlorine reacting with organics, creating trihalomethanes as a result. I'm not presenting this from a professional standpoint, but from a layperson's standpoint. So when you have a sewer plant, as we do, after chlorinating, it has to be dechlorinated from the month of April to October because these organics react with the chlorine and create these trihalomethanes, which are considered to be carcinogenic. So that's in sewer. In water, the trihalomethanes are a sign that there are organics in the system. I'm not doing analysis of Bog Meadow or their system, but I'm at Bog Meadow all the time recreating. That place is clean, there's no growth. And there's a second branch to the village watershed. It's called Glycerin Hollow. It's an essential part of the watershed. It goes through the golf course, and there's activity up the golf course right now. Not sure what all they're doing, but there's activity up there. And the safe yield for our watershed, years ago when I knew the numbers, was 700,000 gallons per day. So I've heard people talk about piping water, which may not be a bad idea, except if you pipe the water, you will lose some of the safe yield for the day, reducing the calculated amount available at the water plant to send out to the town and the village. At the village meeting, I heard the term failing to meet disinfection standards. I just want to say, you have to be careful about these statements. The disinfection is fine, that's a chlorination. If you don't disinfect to the right level, that would almost be criminal. And of all the town employees and village employees, I just want to say, out of all of them, Jack Sibley and Pat Patterson are the two that I would trust with my life. And the water may have fractional trihalomethanes in it, but it does meet disinfection standards. The town can't remedy this, it has to be corrected at the source. So when we test, as we did back in June, and everybody made a big deal about murky water because we didn't have a water tank, well, we do have a water tank. I was up at it today. We've had it for a couple of years, and we're going to put another one alongside of it. I just ask that all these reckless comments be subdued. I really hope that happens. And are we going to talk about that water leak later on? I'll leave that for later.
Yeah, throw it in now.
Okay, so up at Corbin Hill, there was a leak. And it was there's two parts of Corbin Hill. There's a condo section, and up on the upper end is the residential section. So the residential's like anywhere. The homeowner is generally responsible from the curb stop to the house. So this particular leak was from bad backfill, and I don't know how our code reads, but it wasn't a flared copper connection, it was a compression fitting, meaning it has a ring about it that locks, and it pulled out. It pulled out just enough to where the homeowner was getting water with some reduced pressure, but there was a water leak that was, I don't know, maybe 20,000 gallons a day or something coming out of it. So they remedied that, and I sent out the pictures of the backfill. Now, hate to say anything, detrimental to the town. Back in the early 2000s, the town had the water transportation bill. The previous owner had installed a couple of water systems, fire and water. They were abandoned for a long time. A decision was made to rip that all out and replace it, I think at a cost of like $300,000. And $75,000 was allotted for a new tank site, which is there. We just surveyed it. So the backfill not being good backfill, a decision was made by the supervisor at that time, who wasn't you, that rather than putting out the competitive bid and the prevailing wage and all that, to have the developer use their people to install the system. So when you look at the picture and you see all the rocks and want to blame somebody, all you need is a mirror. That's us, okay? So I just want that whole thing to be put to rest. And it was a little bitty 3/4 inch copper line. In the history of water in Fort Montgomery, that's the only leak I know that we've ever had. So that's not so bad after 15 years. It wasn't a main or anything like that, and it's repaired, and they're out there vigilantly looking for other leaks right at the moment. Pat was out there today doing that. With the building department, are we gonna talk, we're gonna hire someone later on? Okay, save that for later on. We interviewed people off the civil service list. There were some good ones. Number 6 was especially good. For the month of November, there were 20 permit applications were received. 20 permits were issued. 0 operating permits were issued. 13 certificates of compliance. 3 certificates of occupancy. 43 building permit inspections. 11 municipal searches were completed. Zoning variance applications were received. 1 was received. The planning board had received 1 application. There were 5 FOIL requests. Phil's gonna have help soon. I'm looking forward to doing that. And finally, the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee met last Wednesday. Mindy Kimball's and Jeff Demonsky, the CCA administrator, zoomed in and talked to us about where we're at with all this. It's being reviewed right now by the Public Service Commission, and by June of next year, we're expecting to be implemented. And that's it, except I have a few things I'm going to say about Richie Parry at the end of the meeting.
Councilman King.
Yes, I have a few notes tonight. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. First, start by saying I want to thank the Recreation Director for his efforts to partner with local community as it pertains to promoting neurodiversity. Neurodiversity, meaning those within the community who have some sort of challenges, like autism, for example. If we haven't offered enough service for them in the past, we're trying to do that now. And so there's a group that started out there locally, that's residents and parents, but Aaron is also looking at other ways that we as a town could be a support to them. So continue to do that, if you're listening. Dial a bus, we still need drivers. So I'm gonna continue to echo that message from our Dial a Bus director. We still need drivers, and the folks that are on the team now are doing a fabulous job. So thank you. I was at the library a lot last week, and I see that the library has been doing a great job despite all the COVID restrictions and making the library accessible to the community and making sure it's clean and it's safe and continuing the programming. And I was just overly impressed with the entire staff at their willingness to try to get people to feel comfortable with coming back out to the library. And I will be there more often myself. I had a great time there Friday night, and I plan to go back quite frequently. And we got our annual MLK Day is coming up on us already. Can you believe it? It's been a year. This year, it looks like it's going to be on the 17th versus another date. I think it was 19th last year or something. But this year's 17th falls on a Monday. And so the preliminary intention is to continue with our annual march that we do down Main Street. And then there also may be this year a documentary shown in the library. So the library director has volunteered to be part of the MLK Day committee. So just to show how she's going above and beyond to be involved in the community. So that's all I have. And before I go, I just wanted to say, I know that the supervisor's going to say something, but I got to say this, that my colleague, Mr. Richard Perry, has been a champion. It's been a pleasure working with him for this amount of time that he's here. And again, my hat's off to you. Thank you for your service to the community.
Councilman Jim?
Oh, okay, yes. Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to, before I go into some liaison reports, since we were talking about water, I just want to send a public commending Pat and his team, Pat Patterson and his team. I understand that the water leak was identified rather quickly over the weekend, and he was taking very aggressive action to do that. So, my thanks to you, Pat, if you're listening, and certainly a great job on that. And I know he has a very good relationship with the village water plant, and so I just hope that as the village receives information about test results, that they continue to provide that information to the town as quickly as they get it. That would be very helpful, so we could get that information out to the community. From a liaison perspective, Ambulance Corps did a very good job last month responding to calls. They had 39 calls in the month of November, 37 of which they were able to respond to. Very good number, and sound like a broken record here, but the 2 that they could not respond to was because there was no driver available. So again, a big call to anyone in the community, maybe a nice New Year's resolution. You're looking for some community service, talk to the Ambulance Corps. We need drivers. It was mentioned, I think Jeff may have mentioned it last meeting, last month sometime, that one of the stretchers in one of the ambulances was inoperable. That has been fixed. I just wanted to let the board know that, let the public know that. As it turned out, it was a mechanism that lifts the legs up and lowers them down. It was a matter of replacing a motor and a piston, and so that got taken care of rather quickly. So we're back in operation with that. Something that I've been tracking, I mentioned this number of months ago, when we were talking about the ambulance, talking about EMTs, talking about EMT career fields, pay, issues across the state, that the State Assembly had put together a bill that would authorize the Office of Fire Prevention and Control to establish the New York State Rural Ambulance Task Force. And on December 10th, that bill was sent to the governor's desk for signature. And so this is a recognition on the part of the state that when it comes to EMTs and support for ambulances, ambulance corps type of activity, more needs to be done. And we need help at the state level. And so this is a step, hopefully, that's going to be in the right direction with that. So I just want to let you all know about that. Had a good opportunity to attend last week the Environmental Action Committee hosted by Olga, who's in the audience tonight. It was a very nice meeting, and thank you for that. One of the things that came up, and the Chamber of Commerce has this information, it's been posted on their Facebook page. I believe they've been sending it out through other means also, but Olga reminded me that there are 2 New York State laws that could impact us, in particular restaurants and hotels, in terms of those that deal with food. These become effective on the 1st of January in 2022. One is the New York State Food Donation and Food Scraps Recycling Law. And it talks about food waste and what should be done with that, partnering with food pantries for food that may be still edible and usable. And but there is a law now that is in place, and so if you are a business owner in town, I strongly encourage you to look at this. There's a website. I'm not going to read it now because It'll just be too confusing, but contact me. I can give you the website. Contact the Environmental Action Committee, Olga. Someone on her team can give you that website. Contact Charlene Yell or Jay with the Chamber of Commerce, and they can give that to you also. The second law is the New York State Expanded Polystyrene Foam Container and Polystyrene Loose Fill Packaging Ban. So this is if you're putting food in styrofoam types of containers, and the loose packaging ban are those packaging peanuts, I call them, if you know what I'm talking about with that. So there is a ban on that. It specifically states no covered food service provider or store will be allowed to sell, offer for sale, or distribute disposable food service containers that contain expanded polystyrene foam or the loose fill. And again, this impacts, they specifically call out as examples, delis, grocery stores, restaurants, coffee shops, mobile food service vendors, secondary schools. So there's a lot of coverage with this. And so again, if this is applicable to you, please contact me. I'll send you the website. Or again, Charlene has this, Olga has this, or you can Google these things and read about it with New York State law. And I would also like to say, and just thank my good bud Richard for all your help and mentoring and support. I'm rapidly coming to the end of my first year on the board, and it is by no accident I know that Bob had me sit here by you, because you have been of extreme help to me. So thank you very much. And I know I'll see you around the neighborhood. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have been supervisor for, I guess, 16 years now. And actually, half of those 16 years, Richie has been by my side. That was my first run at being supervisor and my second. He doesn't change. He's the quiet guy on the board. And a great word for him is a mentor. Because when he speaks, especially during budget time, we listen. We listen. And we can say, we're going to cut $1,000, and he'll say $1,200. And we listen. Okay, Rich, you want $1,200, you must have a good reason. So it's been he's been a great asset to the town board. In particular, I'm very fond of him and what he's helped me with in the 8 years that we've served together. And I hate to see him go, but Marcia will have him back on Monday nights. That's one good thing, at least for the next couple of years, in case he decides to do something again. So, Richie, I appreciate everything that you've done, and I would like to ask for a hat. Even though you're the quiet guy, you may speak.
Well, I'm surprised, but I did prepare a short message, contrary to my long messages that I usually do at board meetings. But I just want everyone to know that I have met with Joe DeWitt, and I congratulated him on his election, and I wished him well, because when the board does well, we all do well. I have always considered being a member of the town board as an honor and a privilege. I have been a member of the town board for 16 years, as Bob mentioned. I hope that I have contributed to the process of providing good government to the residents of the community. We have had our differences, but through discussion and compromise, we have moved forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, do you have anything for us?
Just a couple things. Good evening, everybody. So, I sent the email out to everybody. Unfortunately, we're losing 2 officers this month. So Kevin Wood, who I've known since he was born, is leaving us, and he's going to be a full-time police officer in the city of Kingston. And Nick Vazios, who's on his second round with us, had left the Attorney General's office and come back, has accepted a position in Florida as a full-time police officer. So, bad news for us. Good news is our 3 training officers are just about done with their field training. They should be ready to go by the 1st of January, so they'll pick shifts then. So we should be in good shape. So we lose 2 and we gain 3. I like to, lose none and keep the 3, but unfortunately for younger folks, and especially with some openings coming up, we wish them the best of luck. The other thing is our July patrol is out there now to the end of the year. It's actually been very active, which is disheartening to see that people are still out there driving drunk. But we have made a few arrests in the last few weeks, so I applaud the officers for being out there. And Mr. Perry, I wish you the best of luck. I thank you very much for all the kind words you said about the PD. I was on the receiving end from 1,000 to 1,200, so I'm okay with that, but thank you very much for your kind words.
Chief, you mentioned 2 of our people are leaving us, resigning and what have you. In kind of the spirit of cooperation, I'd just like to mention that Jeff Pitt from the Highland Falls Police Department is retiring after 30 years with the Highland Falls Police Department. I think
guy.
that's tremendous.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have him around.
Justin, do you have anything?
Just the agenda item, sir.
Okay. Kelly, do you have anything?
No.
All right. We met with a number of candidates for the full-time building department clerk's job. There was Councilman Sullivan, myself, Kelly, Phil Hannawalt. Was that it?
That was it.
Yes. And I think we did 5 or 6 interviews.
Yeah. And it was kind of tough after we interviewed everybody. We had 3 people that we thought would be very good. As opposed to one other time, we weren't sure what we wanted to do. But this time there was 3 people, and the outstanding person of the 3 people was this young lady, Gabriella Conklin. So I'm going to ask for a motion to hire Gabriella Conklin to the position of full-time building clerk, 40 hours a week, $19 an hour, 52 weeks probation, and she will start on the 20th of December.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I'm sure Phil will be happy.
Little side note, she's bilingual. I think that'll help in town hall too.
Okay, Danny Zint, who has been a long-time court officer with us, at first note, he's resigning, but he's asking to be rehired because he's retiring, and we're going to rehire, or asking to be rehired. So writing this letter to inform you that I will be retiring effective November the 26th. I would like to be reinstated to work as court attendant effective December the 7th. So I'll ask for a motion to rehire, well, first of all, to accept the resignation. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So carried. Then I'll ask for a motion to rehire Daniel Zint as a court officer according to the salary schedule, back on probation for 52 weeks, and he will be starting on December the 7th.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you very much.
Is that a long enough time for him to have a gap? Wasn't there something they had to be? Just
Was it
It's
2
long
days?
enough.
It's long enough?
We got the dates from the New York State retirement system.
I'm sorry, what was the effective date of the resignation?
November the 26th?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as long as you got it from the county, then we're
Yep.
good. Okay. See, that's what I meant about him. At the village board meeting on December the 6th, the board appointed James Ramus to the Consolidated Zoning Board of Appeals with the terms to start on January the 1st and end December the 31st, 2026. We don't, that was a village appointment, and we need not to approve it nor disapprove it. I signed a certificate for the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, basically saying that the construction at the sewer plant has been completed. Is that the right wording, Justin?
Yes, sir, substantial completion. That's a good day.
It only took, what, 4 years, 5 years?
We started talking about the project in 2014.
I thought the water project took a long time, but this one, it should not have taken that long. But
I would agree with you.
I will say COVID did interrupt it. Probably we could, COVID probably cost us a year. Now, there's, we're looking to get a bond from a bonding agency. Justin, that's your realm. Talk
Sure.
about the bond and what we're...
Sure. With the substantial completion, TAM, the primary contractor on the project, is seeking a maintenance bond. That's fairly typical part of a construction process. They need to make application to do so. And in that process, the town board, through the supervisor, needs to indicate where we are in the project and what has occurred. So we're fine-tuning some of that language to make sure that the board is comfortable with the representation they have to make. But ultimately, that would have TAM responsible to come back for maintenance related to the construction for 1 more year from the completion date.
Okay. So Justin put together, they offered a letter that they wanted me to sign off on, which I wasn't happy with the letter because of the wording, 100% complete or something. What was the word?
It was aggressive language that everything was perfect.
Right.
But so we indicate in the
Justin
letter,
smoothed it out.
we indicate that the work is complete and satisfactory. It's not a child's report card with a glowing review that. So it modified the letter. Should suffice.
Good. Okay. And Kelly, if you can get that letter and get it for my signature, and we'll
Yep.
get it typed up. Okay. Okay, I have a letter of resignation from Ralph Montalese. Please accept my letter of resignation from the Town of Highlands Board of Assessment Review since I have moved out of the county. It's been a pleasure to serve the Town of Highlands. Motion to accept the letter of resignation.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I have a letter from Monica Sullivan. Dear Supervisor Livesey and members of the board, I am writing this letter to inform you that my term on the Board of Assessment Review has expired, and I would like to be reappointed for the 2022 new year. Thank you for your consideration. Okay, Monica was on the board for, I think, reasons of health. She was unable to do the schooling that is required, and the county took her off of the board. She's asking to be reappointed to finish her term.
We need to do.
I don't know. Does anybody,
Need to make a motion or something?
yeah, we need a motion to appoint Monica Zoll.
This gentleman is recusing himself from the whole matter, so.
Yeah, I saw your email.
So, before we do that, I have just a question.
Sure.
Was the reason because I think this is before my time, was the reason she was removed because of health reasons, or was it because she didn't do the schooling?
She didn't do the school because of health reasons.
Okay, so has she done the schooling now, or can we appoint her and then she
When
does
she's
the school?
reappointed, then she'll be going to the school.
I got it, okay, thanks.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to appoint?
Motion?
Okay, second,
All in favor?
aye.
And one abstention. Harvey Green, who was a member of the board, he's asking to be reappointed as a member of the Town of Highlands Board of Assessment Review. I'm currently a member of said board, and thus I am familiar with the function, processes, and duties expected, and I feel as though I would like to continue on the board. Harvey Green has been a good member of the board, and I
I'll make
would,
that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So carried. And his term would
He
be
has a full 5 years.
a 5-year term, yeah, okay.
And then we do have one vacancy left, which I'm advertising for next week. This Friday will be in the paper.
Okay. Any business I missed?
Oh, Bob, what about the 27th of December? Did we want
Oh,
a
okay,
meeting or not?
yep. Do we want to meet on the 27th December, or just meet in case of emergency, we'll
Well,
call it?
the only thing, we're going into executive, I believe,
no.
for a certain thing. Go ahead, Todd, sorry.
I vote no.
We have a matter before us that would probably require action either tonight or on the 27th, which we have to discuss in executive. If we vote on it afterward, then I think that we're cleared and I'll have to come back on the 27th. Meaning the highway contract.
I got you, I understand. But that wouldn't even necessarily have to be on the 27th. We could have it,
Or it could go
Any
into
other-
next year, it would be expired, but it could
Yeah.
go into next year, so whatever, that'll just be the result of what we discuss in executive.
so I have a no or a motion to not have a meeting on the 27th of December in the spirit of Christmas.
That's right.
Second?
Second. I also have a request not to have a meeting on the 20th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, so carried. Thank you very much. We're going to go into executive session. We're going to discuss union contracts, police personnel. Justin will talk a little bit about some litigation that we have pending, and I'll ask for a motion to go in executive session for those reasons.
Not yet, because I didn't get my chance to talk about Richie Perry. So, I know he's a humble man, so my memory of Town Hall goes back to the 60s,
Okay.
when his father was supervisor at that time, and a very good one, and then Hank went on to county service. And we had a very good gentleman named Tommy O'Hearn, who had the Hub Market, who, when he was supervisor, the stress kind of got to him and he resigned. And the town board at that time had the fortitude and insight to seek Richie's father to be supervisor. And in Fort Montgomery, the sewer district was talked about forever. It was Richie's father that had the leadership skills and the rationale to make that happen. My mother was town clerk. Everybody back then was just like what you just saw with Bob Dole. They came from a time when even when you disagreed, there was mutual respect, and it was wonderful. And Richie understands that respect. And it's been a pleasure for the last 4 years.
Thank you.
Okay.
I ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, one last thing from me. I just want to say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Be safe, and we still got COVID to be concerned about. Please do all the right things when necessary. Wear your mask, get your vaccinations, and oh, by the way, social distance if you need to. But otherwise, live your life.
And before we go to the executive session, anybody else want to talk about the holidays?
I would,
want-
I would sing Jingle Bells, but happy holidays.
There's a lot to be thankful for. It's been a stressful couple of years. We're wearing a mask again. I hope everybody's safe and happy and enjoys a very good Christmas and a very good New Year.
After the executive session, we may come out with a public session, and there's no way for me to tell you whether or not we will be doing it for sure. And as I look at Olga, I forgot about public comment. Do you have anything?
Not really. No,
Okay.
that was-
Anybody else, public comment? You didn't remind me.
I didn't,
All right, then, we'll go to executive session.
we still need that
Thank
motion.
thank you all.
Motion?
Yeah, we got the motion second and all that stuff.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 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 okay.